Good morning, everybody. My name is Archie, and my business is Sentinel Property Limited. As Graham has said, I'm a property investor and deal packager. And today, what I'm wanting to do is I'm wanting to tell everybody a little bit more about me, who I am, and why it is so important to me that building relationships and building lasting, trusting connections with people is my ultimate goal in what I'm doing. So to get us started, a little bit about me. Like Graham said, not I used to manage my own motorsports centre near Ipswich, and whilst that was the dream job, I was limited in how much further I could go, given that I got that position at quite a young age. I'm also an ex-professional sailor, so I used to be professionally competing, and I started that sort of when I was 9 or 10. And I hung up the professional boots in 2017. So it's a good portion of my life. I also have served in the ambulance service for a couple of years. And so my career has hopped around a little bit. But also something that I'd like to talk about is something I'm more recently involved with, in that I'm also now in a position where we're putting together groups of aid missions heading to Ukraine, as the pictures may determine. So I started doing this in 2023. The group has been running for a couple of trips before that. And I assist, coordinate, put together, and sort out the logistics in an aid mission that goes roughly 3 to 4 times a year. To basically pick up trucks or taking medical and humanitarian aid across to volunteers in Ukraine, as well as direct to the military. I have most recently come back from my last trip in May with another trip, last trip in February with another trip in May and September. And for anybody wanting to find out a little bit more about what we do, or anybody who thinks who might be able to support us, then I would really enjoy that as well. But you're here to listen about my property side of things. So like I say, I'm a property investor and deal packager. I'm also an aspiring mentor. So I'm doing more and more in the property world to get known by people, and supporting people who are just starting their investment journey. So what do we do? The business is split currently into three different little elements. Firstly, the bread and butter being our property deal packages, which we offer in the north and northeast, giving good returning investment opportunities for prospective investors. But more on that on a minute. There are other two areas of the business as well. We do have our own sort of local smaller portfolio of single let HMO and service accommodation units. And I also have two commercial developments on the go, both within probably 45 minutes, an hour of my home address. We're also solution specialists, and source solutions for people who've just got started in property all the way through to industry experts. So it ties quite in with a little bit of mentoring that I do at the moment, but also connecting people with the right people and getting jobs done. So that's the three easiest ways of splitting down the business. But the property deal packages are what we're all here for. That is our bread and butter, and that is what we've got going on day to day at the moment. So where are we operating? We're operating in Nottinghamshire and County Durham, specifically more around Nottingham City, Darlington, and Durham City themselves. As well as some more local knowledge too. Why have we chosen those locations? Well, location is super important when it comes to property investing. You hear a lot of people, especially sort of newer mentors, everything say, "Oh, you can invest in any property and get it to work for you." That is a lie. Location is super key in what you're doing, and these three locations mean we can give the return figures that we do. Why can we do that? Well, the property prices up there are low. You can secure property for the same price or less than stamp duty in London and the home counties alone. Okay, never mind other southern house prices. As well as that, though, there are other costs which are in these places which are significantly less as well, being sort of other fees, and most importantly, redevelopment and refurbishment costs. So just as an example, a typical strip out and refurb of a 2, 3 bedroom property is only costing us between 10 and 20,000 pounds up in those places, assuming that no unexpected or larger issues emerge. That means that in the terms of return figures from an investment, we're able to offer 15% as a typical minimum on return on capital employed, 8% minimum net yield, and £250 a month profit from the rental income of any one of those properties. They are typical minimum values that we expect to see on a return, and we're often getting much higher than that. Our two main strategies are buy to let and buy, refurbish, rent, refinance. And after refinancing, we try and aim for a maximum of £15,000 left in equity after any refinance, meaning our investors are getting the chunk, if not all of their money back out of that property, right, ready to go again. How are we doing it? Well, what we're wanting to do is we're wanting to accommodate a hassle-free, end-to-end turnkey process for all of our investors who are wanting to get involved. So what I'm doing at the moment is I'm trying to find investors who are based in and around the south. They're wanting a better return on their money than interest alone. And they're interested in property. They've heard it's safe, especially from great people such as yourselves. But I'll tell you how you guys can get involved very shortly. I have got full teams in all of those places. So I have got people on the street who are born and bred in Nottinghamshire and County Durham. I'm a Suffolk boy myself. I don't have the foggiest idea in terms of how places and streets work up in those places, no matter how many times I go up there. But I've got the people up there who find these properties, who find the best properties to buy, who know the good locations from the bad. Those people are sourcing those property and always acquiring them either below market value or off market. And we're incredibly reliant on off-market direct-to-vendor marketing. So just as an example, we secured a property only 3 weeks ago, which market value, if it was on there, was £78,000. However, we secured it for just under 60, which is quite a bit below what it's actually worth. Now, we're not out here scamming people. We're just finding the motivated sales, those properties who are creating a problem in their current state for the people who own them and offering a solution. Hence, they're willing to let them go for such a low price. Once we've sourced them, we are doing all the research we can into it. We're viewing those properties. We're getting our development teams in there. We're quoting up what potential costs and value that thing can turn into. If it's worth it, we use our trusted development team. So if they're
2 minutes, Archie.
Thank you. If they're not in there, our in-house developers, they are trusted contractors who we've used before, who give us a trusted solution. They always give us the same formula and have a great balance between cost and quality, as well as reliability and timeliness. Just for reference, like I say, it costs between 10 and 20 grand for a typical strip out and refurb of a 2 to 3 bedroom property. And we can turn it around within 8 to 12 weeks. At the end of that, we also have letting agencies in each of those places. They're sort of our cherry on the cake. And our lettings offices in Nottingham, Darlington, and Durham usually charge full lettings management at 13% of annual rent. However, for one of our deals, you're looking at 10%. And that is what gives these nice numbers here. Between us, between me and my partner in Darlington and Durham alone, this presentation is a bit old, but over the last 2.5 years, we've now done around 80 deals between us. Just to close, these are snippets of the numbers pages from our investor packs. So you can see the one left here very much falls typically within what we're doing with 15.1% capital employed, 8.2% net yield, and £221 of monthly profit. That is taking away all your costs. So if this was refinanced after refurbishing, taking away mortgage, repairs, maintenance, voids, insurance, agent fees. Because these numbers, I want to emphasize, we'd rather underestimate these numbers and over deliver on our promises because we're very reliant on return business. But you can see here that this property took a total investment just shy of £81,000, and this is what's getting those numbers back off it. You're not making £1 million immediately, but these are safe, high-yielding investments, which I'm sure many of you can agree is much better than just having it sat in the bank. So how can you guys get involved? Like I say, I am looking for investors. I'm looking for people who have got that bit of cash sat around on an investment opportunity. As you can see from the one on the right, this opportunity came up for only investing £21,000, getting £21,000 to get and work for them. These are the numbers that these people were wanting back. Okay, but typically we're wanting people with sort of 50 to 120,000 who get in on a cash sale. Anybody here refers to me will receive £750 from me as an introduction fee for anybody who takes up one of my deals. There are not many investors who turn up their nose at these numbers, and so give me their number, let me start the conversation with them.